royal life may look calm and perfect from the outside. Grand palaces, fine clothes, and long traditions give a feeling of order. Yet behind these walls, some customs have surprised the world in quiet but powerful ways. There were kings who ate in complete silence while others watched. There were queens who gave birth in crowded rooms, with witnesses standing close by. And there were rulers who followed rules so strict that even a simple handshake could carry deep meaning. These traditions may seem strange today, but for centuries they shaped how royal families lived, loved, and ruled. They were not just habits, they were symbols of power, control, and belief. Some made people feel safe, others made them question everything. As we begin this journey, you may find yourself thinking about how much the world has changed, and how much, perhaps, has stayed the same. If you enjoy stories like this, you may wish to subscribe and stay with us for more quiet journeys into history. And if any memory or thought comes to mind, feel free to share it. Your voice matters here. Let us start with a custom that feels almost unreal today. In the court of King Louis VII, known as the Sun King, daily life followed a strict pattern. One of the most surprising traditions was called the lever. Each morning, the king would wake up, and a group of nobles would gather to watch him rise from bed. This was not a private moment, it was a public event. Only certain people were allowed closer to him, depending on their rank. This may sound uncomfortable. Why would anyone accept such a thing? The answer lies in power. Being close to the king, even for a moment, meant influence. It gave status. It showed trust. For the king, it was a way to control his court. He decided who stood near him and who stayed far away. Even waking up became a sign of authority. Now pause for a moment and imagine this. Could you begin your day with others watching your every move? Not far from France, in the British royal family, another tradition carried its own weight. When a royal baby was born, it was once required that officials be present in the room. This rule began in the 17th century after rumours spread about a baby being secretly replaced. To prevent doubt, witnesses were brought in. They stood nearby as the child was born. It was meant to protect truth, yet it removed privacy from one of life's most personal moments. Over time, this tradition faded, but its meaning still lingers. It shows how deeply people cared about royal bloodlines. Trust had to be seen, not just believed. Have you ever wondered how far a system should go to prove honesty? If this story touches something in you, you are welcome to leave a comment. Many people carry strong feelings about trust and tradition. Moving forward, let us look at a custom that feels quiet, yet powerful. In Japan, members of the imperial family once followed strict rules about speaking. Public words were rare. Silence was seen as a form of dignity. Even today, Emperor Naruhito carries this sense of calm restraint. This tradition teaches that not every thought must be spoken. It values control and reflection, yet it also creates distance. The public sees a figure, not always a person. Does silence bring respect, or does it build walls? In another part of the world, the Russian court held a different kind of ritual. During grand meals, guests were expected to follow exact rules. No one could begin eating before the ruler. Every movement was observed. A mistake could bring shame. These meals were not just about food, they were about order. They showed who belonged and who did not. Think about your own table. How different would it feel if every action carried such weight? As we continue, we come to a tradition that may seem almost unbelievable. In some royal courts, touching the monarch was forbidden. This rule was not only about respect, it was about belief. Kings and queens were often seen as chosen by a higher power. Their bodies were considered sacred. One small touch could break this idea, so distance was kept at all times. Yet today we see royals shaking hands, meeting people, even hugging children. The change is quiet, but it is deep. What does this shift tell us about how we see leaders now? If you find these changes interesting, you might consider subscribing. It helps keep these stories alive and shared with care. Now, let us turn to a softer tradition, one that carries a different kind of meaning. In many royal families, wearing black was once required for long periods after a death. This was called mourning dress. Queen Victoria is one of the most well-known figures who followed this custom. After her husband died in 1861, she wore black for the rest of her life. This was more than fashion. It was a public sign of grief. It showed loyalty and love, yet it also kept sorrow visible for many years. Can clothing truly hold emotion, or does it simply remind us of it? These traditions may feel distant, yet they touch something close to the human experience. Power, trust, silence, and loss are not only royal ideas, they belong to all of us. And we are only beginning. As we continue, the world of royal tradition becomes even more complex. Some customs were gentle, almost poetic. Others carried a quiet weight that shaped lives in ways we may find hard to accept today. Let us step into a tradition that shaped the very rhythm of royal life. In many European courts, marriages were rarely about love. They were arranged to build alliances, secure peace, or strengthen power. Young princes and princesses were often promised to someone they had never met. In some cases, they first saw each other on their wedding day. This may sound cold, yet for centuries it was seen as normal. One well-known example is Marie Antoinette, who was sent from Austria to France as a teenager to marry the future king. Her journey marked not just a new life, but a political bond between two nations. She left behind her home, her language, and her family. Pause for a moment and think about that. Could you leave everything you know for a duty you did not choose? Over time, this tradition began to soften. Today, royal marriages often include personal choice. But the past still reminds us how deeply duty once guided the heart. If this story brings a thought to your mind, feel free to share it. Many people reflect on love and duty in different ways. Now let us turn to a custom that feels both simple and strict. In the British royal household, there is a rule about how one must address the monarch. The first time you speak, you say Your Majesty. After that, you say Ma'am or Sir. This may seem small, but it carries deep meaning. Language shapes respect. It creates a clear line between roles. Even today, visitors must learn these forms before meeting a royal. A wrong word can feel like a break in tradition. But here is a gentle question. Does respect come from words alone, or from something deeper within us? As we move forward, we find a tradition tied to time itself. In Thailand, the royal anthem is played before films in cinemas. When it begins, everyone stands. This is done to show respect for the king. The room becomes still, and for a moment, daily life pauses. This tradition continues even in modern times. It connects the past with the present. Imagine sitting in a quiet theatre, rising along with strangers, all sharing a single moment of respect. Does such a custom bring unity, or does it feel like a duty? Next, we enter a more unusual practice. In medieval Europe, royal meals were sometimes tasted by a special servant before being served. This person was known as a food taster. Their role was to protect the monarch from poison. It was a dangerous duty. A single bite could mean life or death. This custom reminds us that royal life was not always safe. Power often came with hidden risks. Think about trust for a moment. How would it feel to depend on another person for your safety in such a direct way? If these stories speak to you, you might consider subscribing. It helps others find these quiet reflections on history. Now, let us explore a tradition that touches on appearance and image. In many royal families, there are rules about clothing in public. Colours, fabrics, and even the length of a sleeve can carry meaning. For example, bright colours are often chosen so that crowds can easily see a royal figure. Queen Elizabeth II was known for wearing bold, clear colours during public events. This was not just style, it was thoughtful planning. She once said that people needed to see her to believe she was there. Isn't it interesting how something as simple as colour can shape connection? As we continue, we come to a tradition linked to names and identity. When a new monarch takes the throne, they may choose a new name. This name becomes part of history. It reflects how they wish to be remembered. For example, King George VI was not born with that name. He chose it when he became king during a time of great change in Britain. A name can carry strength, it can bring comfort, it can also signal a new beginning. Have you ever thought about what your name says about you? Now let us turn to a custom that feels both grand and distant. In some royal courts, the act of bowing or curtsying follows strict rules. The depth of the bow, the timing, and even the setting all matter. These gestures show respect, but they also remind people of their place within a system. Today, these customs are still practiced, though often with more ease. But their meaning remains. Does such a gesture honor tradition, or does it create distance between people? As we reach this point, we begin to see a pattern. Royal traditions are not only about rules, they are about symbols. Each act, each word, and each moment carries a message. Some speak of power, others speak of care, and still, more surprising customs lie ahead. As we move into the final part of our journey, the traditions become quieter, yet more deeply felt. They are less about public display and more about the inner weight of royal life. Some of these customs may not shock in a loud way, but they leave a lasting impression. Let us begin with a tradition that shaped how royals travel. For many years, two direct heirs to the throne were not allowed to travel together on the same journey. This rule was meant to protect the line of succession. If something went wrong, the future of the monarchy would still be secure. According to reports, this custom was followed in several royal families, including the British line. It may sound careful, even wise, yet it also meant that close family members were often kept apart during important moments. Imagine a parent and child needing to take separate paths, not by choice, but by duty. Does safety always come at the cost of closeness? As time passed, this rule began to soften. Modern travel and safety measures have changed how royals move across the world. Still, the idea behind it reminds us how fragile a system can feel, even when it appears strong. Now let us turn to a tradition shaped by faith and belief. In England, the monarch is not only a ruler, but also the head of the Church of England. This role began in 1534, during the time of King Henry VIII. It changed the relationship between the crown and religion forever. This means that royal duties are not only political, they are also spiritual. The monarch attends services, supports the church, and holds a title that connects the state with faith. Pause for a moment and think about that balance. Can one person carry both roles with ease? For some, this tradition brings comfort. It ties the nation to its past. For others, it raises questions about change and modern life. If you have thoughts about this, you are welcome to share them. Quiet reflection often leads to meaningful conversation. As we continue, we come to a custom that speaks of time and patience. Royal mourning does not end quickly. Even today, there are set periods for official grief. After the passing of Queen Elizabeth II in 2022, the royal family observed days of formal mourning with clear rules about dress and behaviour. These moments were not rushed. They allowed space for respect, both private and public. Grief, in this setting, becomes part of duty. Does such structure help people heal, or does it make sorrow feel heavier? Next, we look at a tradition that may seem small, yet carries quiet control. In formal royal dinners, there is a rule that when the monarch finishes eating, everyone else must stop as well. No matter how much food remains, the meal ends at that moment. This custom has been noted by many guests over the years. It shows how even simple acts follow a larger rhythm set by one person. Imagine sitting at a table, still hungry, yet placing your fork down because someone else has finished. Is this respect, or is it a reminder of order? Now we turn to a more personal tradition. Royal children often grow up with limited contact with the outside world. Their education, friendships, and daily routines are carefully guided. This is done to protect them, but it also shapes how they see life. In earlier times, this distance was even greater. Children were raised by tutors and caregivers, sometimes seeing their parents only at certain hours. This creates a quiet question. Can a sheltered life prepare someone for a world full of change? In recent years, many royal families have tried to bring more balance. Children attend schools, meet others, and experience life in a broader way. Yet the weight of expectations still remains. As we come closer to the end, let us pause and look at the full picture. These traditions may seem distant, yet they reflect something deeply human. They show how people create rules to bring order, meaning, and identity. They also show how those same rules can limit freedom and shape lives in unseen ways. Perhaps the most surprising truth is not the customs themselves, but how long they have lasted. Through wars, change, and time, they remain. And now we arrive at a final reflection. Royal life is often seen as a world apart, filled with grace and distance. But when we look closer, we see familiar feelings beneath the surface. Duty, loss, hope, and love all live within these traditions. Some customs have faded, others continue quietly. They remind us that history is not only written in books, it is lived through daily actions, repeated again and again. As you step away from this story, you may find yourself thinking about your own traditions, the small habits, the shared moments, the quiet rules that shape your life. In the end, whether royal or ordinary, we all carry pieces of the past with us, and perhaps that is what connects us most of all.